Hi friends, back again for Scone with the Wind. We're on chapter 6, so I'll just get started on it. Chapter 6, Scone of the Day, Cherry. Back at the bakery I got started on the roast dinner, so it was ready early enough to get the boys back to their dad's house and get organised for the week ahead. I put Malcolm's book down on the kitchen table, popped on some music, and lost myself in the ritual of preparing food. The smell of roast chicken with tarragon butter was wafting through the apartment. The roast potatoes were crisping up nicely, and I had asparagus ready to put on a grill pan just before I was serving the food. Being a kitchen witch, food was my passion, and it didn't matter if I was working a spell or cooking for pleasure. I loved being in my kitchen. Just before 5 o'clock the doorbell rang. I was carving up the chicken and didn't want to leave the gravy unattended, so I asked Jason to answer it. A few minutes later I heard male voices chatting away as they walked up the elegant staircase, which was wide enough for them to walk side by side. "Ma'am, David's here," Jason shouted from the hallway. "Come in, David. I'm just finishing everything off," I said, glancing up from the chicken to see him come into the kitchen. "This smells amazing, and I think I can hazard a guess that it will be better than Jane's soup." David smiled and sat at the table. "Don't knock a good bowl of soup, but this will be a wee bit more filling." "Did you do any packing up when I left?" I asked, putting the sliced chicken on a platter and placing the asparagus on a hot grill pan to get those delicious seared lines across them. "A little. I packed up a lot of books. I found a few of Auntie Elsie's cookbooks. I thought you might like them. I'm not much of a cook." He gestured to the shopping bag that he'd brought in with him. "Thank you. I love browsing through cookbooks. You can get inspiration from anywhere. I'll have a read through them tonight after I drop the boys off. This is nearly ready. Can you get some plates down from that cupboard and you'll find cutlery in the top drawer." David set the table while I dished everything onto serving plates and put them out for us to help ourselves. The boys, hearing the rattling of cutlery, came through and sat down at their usual places. "It's nice to have company tonight. There's plenty of food, but boys, let me get some before you stack your plates with all of it." I laughed, having learned from experience that if I didn't get in first, there would be slim pickings left. The talk at the table revolved around games, study, and exams. The boys tried to get David to spill the beans on when his next release was due out, but he wriggled out of answering it, and by the time we'd all finished the meal, everyone was getting on well. The boys were clearing the table when the doorbell went again. I wasn't expecting anyone, but Jamie had a grin like a Cheshire cat. "Oh, I forgot. Dad said he'd come and pick us up. I'll let him in," he said as he left the kitchen to run down the stairs. "I'm so sorry. They never said he was coming here. I was meant to drive them home." "Don't worry about it. I can handle Stephen," he replied, getting up from the table. Jamie and Stephen had walked back up to the apartment and came into the kitchen. "Something smells good. What have you been cooking, Kitty?" Stephen asked before he noticed David. "Roast chicken dinner." "Stephen, you know David. David's uncle used to work for me and passed away recently. I've been helping him with a few things and invited him round to dinner." The two men eyed each other up, trying to figure out where they stood with each other. David broke the silence by walking forward, offering his hand for Stephen to shake. "Stephen, good to see you. Your boys are excellent gamers. They almost beat me at my own game." Stephen had no choice but to be polite too. "David, small world, eh? Yes, the two of them are hardcore when they get into a game. I hope you made them study, Kitty." I really didn't like Stephen being here, but I attempted to be civil. "Of course they studied. Would you think I wouldn't let them stay up and party when exams are round the corner? No." "Do you want a cuppa? I was about to make one." I really hoped he would say no. "Thanks, but I need to get the boys home. I've got a few meetings tonight." "Of course you do. Why don't you just wait downstairs? I'll get them organised." I'd had enough of him being in my house. I'd tried to make our relationship work, but he was the same old Stephen. Couldn't even make time to hang out with his kids after they'd been away all weekend. I was glad I didn't have to put up with it anymore, but I felt sad for my kids, and that he was missing out on all the good stuff I got to see. Stephen disappeared while I made sure Jason and Jamie had all their school books and anything else that was vital to the next week. I still hated to see them leave in the car and go back to their old lives with their dad. So I said goodbye in the apartment. Good luck with the exams. I'll speak to you during the week. Love you, boys, I told them, while on the receiving end of a group hug which squished me into their chests. Bye, Mum. See you next weekend, Jason said, gave me a kiss, then picked up his bag and went downstairs. Bye, Mum. Love you. Nice to meet you, David, he said, and then he gave me a kiss and an extra hug before he disappeared too. I sniffed back my tears. After nearly 2 years of this, you'd think I'd get used to saying goodbye to them, especially as Jason was about to go to university this year, but it was still as hard as it was the first time. David came out of the kitchen and pulled me in for a hug. Can't be easy for you to see them go. I'm surprised they lived with Stephen and not you. They lived with me at first, but when I got the chance to buy the bakery, we had a family discussion and we decided they needed to live with their dad. They could travel to school from here, but it would be an extra hour each way on the bus. I couldn't see any other opportunities on the horizon for me, so I had to make the hard choice. Usually we do things at the weekend, but right now it's exam time, so they're even busy at the weekend. They'll stay here for most of the summer holidays, so that makes up for it, I explained, still unhappy that I didn't see them daily. But even if we had stayed as a family, they'd be out with their friends or studying. You're a good mum, putting their needs first. Can I make you a cup of tea or coffee? I'm pretty good in the kitchen. Be my guest. Oh, you're my guest. I'll make it. What would you like? I bustled round the kitchen, making us coffee, the ritual of brewing it, calming my nerves and making me happy. We took our mugs to the living room and settled on my soft, comfortable sofas. So are you going to speak to Tommy tomorrow? I asked before taking a sip of my hot drink. Aye, I'll use the funeral information as a reason to speak to him and see if I can get him talking about Malcolm. What time do you think it would be best to go if he is baking? I don't want to catch him if he's too busy to talk to me. I'd say after 9 o'clock would be fine. The baking will be finished by then. Tommy doesn't work in the shop, his wife takes care of that, so I would guess he'd be free. Grand. I'll go in the morning and try and get hold of him, David said as he sat the empty mug of coffee on the table. Now I'll be off. I'm sure you have an early start tomorrow and I don't want to keep you up. Yeah, back to the 5 a.m. wake up. I don't mind it these days, but when I first started, I struggled to get up. I walked down with David so I could lock the front door for the night. At the step, he turned round. Thanks for having me for dinner. It was delicious. Would you let me repay the favour by taking you out one night? I wasn't sure if he was asking me on a date or just being friendly, but either way, I liked the idea. That'd be lovely. Pop in after you speak to Tommy and we'll figure it out. He gave me a quick hug and a peck on the cheek and stepped down onto the street. I wish he'd gone for something more, but it took two to tango and I didn't make a move either. I only had myself to blame. After I locked up, I went up to the apartment, ran a bath and poured in some lavender bubble bath to soak away my worries and sleep better. Not that it helped. I dreamed I was in a huge bakery being chased by an unknown assailant through mixing machines, proving racks and ovens. I woke up in a fright and checked my clock. 4:30. I usually got up at 5 a.m, so I dragged myself out of bed, into the shower to help me wake up. So there's the end of chapter 6. David and Kitty are getting a little bit steamy, aren't they? Do you think that they're going to get into a full-blown relationship? Well, you're just going to have to come back and see. And again, if you keep watching, you can get on to the next chapter. And if you've missed any, make sure you go back and you can catch up on them all. And once again, don't forget to hit the subscribe if you're enjoying it, and then you won't miss out on anything. Good seeing you, friends. I'll catch you next time. Bye.